Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, I'm on the test server here. I did promise that I would do a bit of a showcase of SLIXUS Stripe Hide, the new Void Epic, which is available currently as part of this fusion. Looking badass, looking ready to rock. So let's go through his kit quickly then and decide where the hell we're going to use this guy. Basically, we've got here a double hit to A1, each hit, chance of placing a stun. There's nothing else in his kit that does any sort of debuff, so I've basically almost ignored that there's a stun effect. Like building the accuracy you'd need to be able to enable the stun just weakens him by a lot. So I actually think the stun's kind of like a red herring and you're better off just going full damage. We've then got an A2, which is a double hitter. And this hits hard according to the math. So double hitter, each hit's ignoring shield, increased defense and strengthen. This very much like plays into arena territory. You think about Mithrala's placing strengthen. She's placing increased defense and shield, actually. She's kind of like doing all of these things. I guess ignoring like the shield from a NUKER is pretty useful. Like there's a whole bunch of champions that this could be useful against. And he's getting some self-healing going on as well. And then the A3 is an interesting one because it's an AoE hit. So it's attacking everybody. He's given himself a juicy crit rate and crit damage buff for 2 turns. Now, when you wrap all of this up, you're kind of like, well, I'm only going to build him with 70% crit rate then because it's easy to crit cap with this buff. The trouble is you kind of want to go A3, self buff, and you buff before you attack, which is important. So A3, self buff, nuke everybody, and then like mop up with the A2. But the thing with his passive here is, especially the second part, if he killed someone with the A2, then the next hit, the next skill that he does, ignores defense. So you actually almost want to A2 first so that the AoE ignores defense, which means that this kind of crit rate buff is another red herring. His kit's a little bit off, in my opinion. Like, I think he's going to do decent damage and stuff like that, but how you use him then becomes a bit more difficult. So I think you potentially open with the A3 into the A2, but you have masteries like Cycle of Violence on. You run him in gear sets like Merciless, and then you've got a chance to maximize the potential of his kit. He's got the other part of his passive here where he increases his crit damage by 10% up to 30 every time he kills someone. And if he dies, that won't reset. I don't know if it carries on from round to round. There's nothing that tells me that. That might be a SAF question for the game code. But ultimately, he's just a straight nuke. Yeah, which means that he's not going to be like, oh, let's throw him into tons of different teams because he brings boss mechanics that we want. He's like an arena champion. Yeah, he's an arena champion or he's a wave killer. And there's a lot of those in the game already. So he needs to do some work if he's going to be decent. Now, because a lot of people are not going for the current fusion, people are thinking, well, what about if I +2 this guy, or even +3 this guy in the new epic empowerment? And obviously he's got a very high base attack here, 1454. So when you start to add in things like blessings and empowerment, it does make quite a difference to the amount of damage that he's going to kick out. I don't have that on the test server. So what I've done then, I put him in 6-piece Merciless gear and some of my best Merciless gear to really give him a decent test. I don't know if I got enough to, yeah, we'll push that up as well. Doesn't matter so much, but why not? I'm on the test server, use whatever I've got. And you can see what I've done is in essence, I've over crit capped him just because that's the way my gear went. But you could have him as low as 70% crit rate if you're going with this type of build. High crit damage, high attack. He's built to nuke, and his masteries are also built full nuker masteries. So we've got Helm Smasher with more ignore defense going on. We've got things like Cycle of Violence, which I think is important if you want to try and get the best of his A2, A3. Ruthless Ambush for that first hit boost. And then, yeah, the normal type of damage masteries in the mix. 6-piece Merciless set. So what I'm thinking here is we get the 30% chance to reduce a cooldown of a skill. So that's A3 into A2. Then it's either A1 or A3 again, depending on how lucky you get. But also the ignore defense. So that's the important thing that I'm kind of like picking out here, is get that extra ignore defense going on as if he's wearing like Savage or Savage and Cruel type of stuff, right? So this ends up being, or should be, about as good as we're going to see him for damage. So let's check it out. Get ready for raid. Maximum damage. Okay then, always test Dragon 20 for damage. First off, when we're doing our maximum damage test, we've got the Dream Song giving us our increased attack. We've got decreased defense and weaken coming in from Lydia. Poisons on them from Bad El gives us bonus damage. Poisons on us from Gertzak, bonus damage. Let's open with the A1 against Lonely Apothecary there. Double hit, 220 odd K. It's kind of like mid. It's decent, but not crazy. We're going to go A3 next, because obviously this is the one that self-buffs. I should have done this first, actually. Now, potentially, if you get a kill with the A2, you don't even need drop defense. If you think about it, Merciless ignoring 35%, is ignoring another 30% with his passive, and then you've got potentially Helm Smasher coming in as well. So, you know, if you put something like a 5 or 6 star Crush and Rend on this guy, then damn, that could actually be pretty nasty. But here we go. Self-buff into nuke. What we got? Ooh, not bad. 280 across the board. Not bad. I'm actually interested to see what he does on the A2 in the next wave without any support. Like, can he take someone down without drop defense and stuff on to try and reactivate the A3 again, you know? So, nah, it's just not there. I mean, it's hard hitting at like 60 odd K per hit, but it's not crazy. So let's try A2 when we're fully buffed and everything. A2 here. I was thinking then, why has he done damage to everyone else? And obviously he didn't have full crit rate. This is the wonky part about his kit. I don't know, guys. Obviously this is not what he's meant for, right? He does good damage. Yeah, and even if we check on the website in terms of like the damage ratings, you can see. So if you didn't know, on hellhades.com, we have the write-up, his ratings and stuff, and then you can just hover over now anybody and see like how they fare. And he's an arena champion, so you know his A1 is okay. His A2 is actually in the top 220 AoE hits in the game, which does mean it's going to do good damage like anywhere really. And then the A3 is sorry, not AoE for the A2, it's a single target. The A3 is in like the kind of like 700 to 800s. Very similar, honestly, to Genbo. Extremely similar levels to Genbo for damage. And we know Genbo's a good arena nuker. He's just not up there with now the crazy champions we've got in the game. So yeah, so I feel like you have to end up using him in a very traditional style team where you're basically using him as a normal nuker and you're kind of opening with the A3. So, you know, we're dropping defense of the enemy like you normally would with an old school nuke team. And this is fine for like gold 4 and 5 and stuff, but it doesn't work if you're trying to like push into the high levels. But you then utilizing his kind of crit rate and crit damage buff when you've got enemies here. Obviously, Rotus will live, but the rest should die. Why didn't we crit here? Must have our reaction gear on. So yeah, so, and then the idea is, because we're in like Merciless gear, when we actually rotate back round to the A2, and I guess this is more for live arena, then, you know, pop, and then you've got ignore defense the next time you use your A3. I feel like he's just a little bit off, honestly. Yeah, I feel like he's just a little bit off in terms of his design. And I think people are going to struggle to make like real good use of him. I think he'll be fine. Like he's going to be a decent arena nuker if you want him to be. Okay, just increase the cooldown or something over there. Yeah, it'll be a decent enough arena nuker. So let's try it here. A2. I mean, he should kill anyone here, honestly. We ignore defense, so let's take out Morag. Easily. Like, that would have been 180k hits. So he's got tons of damage with the A2. And then he's going to ignore defense the next time we do the A3. But honestly, the reason we're able to do it is because, as long as it's not on cooldown, the reason we're able to... Oh, no, he's dead anyway. The reason we're able to do it is more because of the team setup, honestly. Now we're in a world of pain. YST is now tearing us to pieces. So yeah, I mean, I could have obviously saved the revive and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I personally, I don't rate him like huge amounts. I think he's probably going to... especially because he doesn't have anything for boss fights. This is going to be a loss now. It doesn't have anything for boss fights either, so he's just a straight arena nuker. I think they're kind of a dime a dozen, you know, in terms of... And he doesn't bring a lot different to other champs. Take a Genbo. Genbo actually brings something a bit different. He's ignoring that unkillable ability. You know, honestly, this guy's like a glorified Kale for me. It's a lot of extra resources for someone who does a little bit more damage than Kale and doesn't have any other kind of like mechanics that are going to help you with other content in the game. So yeah, if you got like lizard faction wars or you know, Sintranos areas where you need lizards that hit hard, he will do that. But he's also super squishy, so if he takes hits, he's going to go down. So yeah, for me, actually, the whole fusion is a skip. Double skip is my verdict. But let me know what you think. Anyway, I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you in the next one.